So in this box, I have all sorts of paintings, different kinds of explorations, and some of them you might even recognize if you've taken my online classes, because I share this process in my classes. And what I want to do is go through them, sort out which ones are my favorites, and then get them ready to list on my website. And this time I'm going to provide a mat with the pieces. So quite often I would just sell as is, but I thought that it would be lovely and maybe just give it that little bit of polish to actually mat some of these up. So I've got these mats that my framer did for me. They're custom, well, they're an A4 size and then they fit into an A3 frame. So when I say custom, I got them made up especially for these pieces of art. But what I was thinking about was how I could make this easy for people to frame into a standard size frame. And these are set up for, I guess, Australian sizes. We often work here in Australia in A4 and A3. So that's what I've decided. Although I realise I've actually got a lot of people overseas, so I might need to rethink that strategy going forwards. So let me just show you. So for example, this one here, if I was just to pop the mat over the top like that, just to give it that really nice clean look. And then I've also got here, just thought I'd show you these as well. These are just clear sleeves that you can order. And I'm trying to think where I got mine from, just a stationery packaging, framing kind of place. That's not very specific, is it? And I've also got some backing board here too. So this is like a thick cardboard. So that I can then package these up so they're super sturdy and flat. They'll all go in together, and then I put them in a padded envelope when I send them. So when they arrive, they are really nice and flat and ready to pop straight into a frame. That's the idea anyway. So I've got quite a few here to choose from. This one here is from my Braver Things online class. I did that in a warm-up for that particular class. It was all about experimenting with different kinds of materials. And I've always really loved this one. I think it will look beautiful all framed up. So I think that one is going to be a keeper. Well, not a keeper for me, but a keeper for somebody else. So that's one thing that I want to get finished before the end of the year. So I've had to think about all the kind of to-dos on my list, and I've tried to just pick a few that I could finish off before the end of the year without putting myself under a huge amount of pressure, because with Christmas, kids are going to be off. My kids finish school this week. So it's going to be a busy time of year, and I want to leave plenty of space for catching up with friends and family. So I just want a couple of small things that I can work on, and I'm super relaxed about whether or not this actually happens. That doesn't sound very, that doesn't sound like it's going to happen when I say it like that, but I just wanted to emphasize that while I really like to finish these things, I'm open to whatever the end of the year throws at me. So before I show you what else that I'm going to be working on, I just remembered where I get my sleeves and things from, and it's a company called Image Science, and they're an Australian company. I think they might be in Victoria. So anyway, thought I'd just pop that in there. Right, let me show you what else I have going on. So sticking with the theme of listing things and getting art out into the world, I also have quite a lot of little mini canvases. And some of these you might recognize. This one is from the Abstract Landscapes class. So some of them are from my teaching work, but other pieces that I've done have been just my own explorations, and some of them aren't quite finished yet. So there's a little bit of going through, working out what's finished and figuring out what is ready for sale. But I'd like to list some of those as well. And then coming on over to the big wall, I have a few big paintings that I want to finish off. And I have been loosely basing these on the process that I used in the last online course that I did, so Abstract Landscapes. And I would love to get these into the little cafe where I show my work before Christmas. So that cafe is called Local Crowd, and I think it would really appreciate some new artwork. So I am going to be working on these during these nice warm sunny days when the kids are home, just popping in for an hour here and there. So fingers crossed I'll get these finished. And so I've got this one here. They're all quite warm and sort of autumn tones, which is funny because it's hot and summery here now, but I'm still very much into this color palette. I love those warm jewel tones. So I don't think that's going to change for a while. So these are all very much in the middle stage, and I'm still figuring out what details I need to add, but having a lot of fun getting back into some big work. At this point, I would usually start adding in a little bit more detail into some of these pieces, but I want to try and keep them quite abstract. Although I did have an idea for this one, and I'm bouncing an idea from this painting here, another not quite finished painting, but I am thinking about maybe bringing in some of this pattern work into this piece. So some of the paint pen, this is an ivory Posca paint pen, and adding in some loose line work and pattern, repetitive pattern into that. So that's just an idea. This here, this little painting here is a bit of inspiration for this one. And I'll also be adding some more fluid layers over the top so that I get some nice drippy flow. You can already see bits of it happening. So I'll be continuing to play with my fluid paints. If you watched the vlog a couple of episodes back, I did a paint haul of the Matisse brand paints, and I'm using all Matisse on these paintings. So if I wasn't in Australia, I would probably use Golden paints. But because I am in Australia, I love the Matisse brand, and that's what I'm using exclusively on these pieces. Ta-da! All Matisse. So fluids and flow. And I am finding that that is working a treat using the same brand. The combination of the heavier bodied Matisse paint and the fluid Matisse paint just playing very nicely together. So definitely enjoying that switch into using just the one brand. Not sure if I'm going to do it forever, but I'm happy with it at the moment. So with only a few weeks to go, I don't want to put myself under too much pressure, but I am going to attempt to finish a few big paintings and list some of the work that I've done earlier this year for sale on my website. So you might want to have a think about what you've got left to do for this year. My suggestion would be to put a whole lot of them just over on the don't worry about basket, but just pick one or two that you could finish off that would leave you feeling good. So thanks very much for joining me for the vlog.